We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet to share these conversations on the Vegan Compass podcast.
We extend our respect to elders past and present, as well as any of our listeners and guests. Hello and welcome to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change. We are your hosts, Rick Allport and Mackenzie Cross.
From wherever you're listening, please be sure to like and subscribe to support this podcast. Now to the episode.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Vegan Compass podcast. Mackenzie Cross and Rick Allport as your hosts. If you're enjoying the podcast so far, we would love if you could follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube. That way you'll get notified of our new episodes. And if you could leave us a review, that's a really powerful way to help this podcast trend in the charts and be shared with more people. And if you find a particular episode super fascinating, please share it with a friend so that they can learn from our amazing guests as well.
Yes, and thank you for everybody who has been watching all our episodes so far. We love getting all your feedback. It's really cool. Don't forget also that you can share the podcast within groups that you're in. So the vegan groups, any vegan groups you are in, please share it across to all the groups so we can build our audience and get out to more people. But today we're bringing you to our guest, and we're very, very happy to have her on here. We have Lefki from Vegan Easy. So Lefki, I'm going to ask you two questions. Who are you and what do you do?
Hi, thanks for having me. So my name's Lefki Pavlidis, and I have a Greek background, but I was born in Australia. I guess I'm someone who would like to live in a world where humans and animals coexist in harmony and kindness, and where animals are respected, not mistreated. I've been vegan for over 20 years, and but prior to that, I had stopped eating meat when I was around 12 or 13 years old. I didn't really like to eat meat in the first place, or eggs, but I was made to as a young child. And I really loved Michael Jackson back when I was, a teenager. So around 12 or 13, I read his biography. And in it, he said he didn't eat animals because he loved them, and that just made sense to me. So I stopped eating them, and then it was in my early 30s. I went vegan because I heard the word and found out what it meant, and thought, okay, I should be vegan. So yeah,
That's really cool.
I never knew that about Michael Jackson.
Neither did I.
Yeah, see the things we learn here on the podcast.
Later in life, he did start eating chicken, so I heard. But back then he was vegetarian. Yeah.
Well, it's nice that he was the catalyst for that part of your journey.
And I guess I've done a lot of different things in life, but currently I'm working for Animal Liberation Victoria as their Vegan Easy campaign coordinator.
Wonderful. And you haven't always done that work. Your background is in spatial science, and you worked for the Queensland government's statewide Landcover and trees study, which calculated that over 90% of land clearing in Queensland was for grazing livestock. So can you tell us a little bit more about that work?
I can, just a little bit, because I was just a small cog in the statewide Landcover and tree study team. So the purpose of that study was to monitor and report on the state's woody vegetation, that is the trees and the shrubs. And I worked for, if I can use the acronym SLATs.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. So I worked for them from around 2007 until 2009. And so I processed the satellite imagery to remove terrain distortions, cloud cover, and shadow cover as well, and just to get it ready for the next stage for the the next scientist to analyze and map it for and monitor it for loss of woody vegetation. And so I wasn't involved in creating all the reports back then, but when I was working there, or it could have been maybe just after I left, there was a landmark report that was released on tree clearing. And that documented 20 years of change from 1988 to 2008. And what was the most notable thing about that report was that the purpose of the clearing, 91% of the tree clearing was for creating pasture for livestock grazing, which is enormous. But if you'd like to know more about that, I'd suggest interviewing Gerard Wedderburn Bishop, who was the senior scientist back then, and he'd worked there for over 20 years, I think. Yeah, he's got a wealth of information on it.
Amazing. It's so fascinating. Rick and I know Gerard. We co-hosted the Animal Justice Party conference back in 2021, and he was one of our speakers, and we showed the documentary as well. I can't remember the name of it.
No, but it was just absolutely fascinating. And yes, he's an amazing man. But you say you were this little cog, but from what you've just explained, you were a lot bigger than that little cog. So we congratulate you on the work that you did, because it really did expose, and we use that information quite often in outreach, especially when we were both in Queensland, about how 90% is for animal agriculture of the clearing, and people just don't believe us.
Yeah, so, they actually don't.
Yeah, so you'll find that they just question us. But then what made you shift from working in that field to becoming an animal rights sort of and vegan advocate and activist? This is an interesting sort of transition.
Okay, well, I had a beautiful dog named Shiny, and I adopted him back in around 2008. So I was still in Queensland at the time. And he had been bitten by ticks twice. And the last time he almost died. So, and Melbourne, where I'm originated from, doesn't have any ticks. So that was one of the reasons I decided to move back, was so that he could be safe. And so when I got to Melbourne, it was April 2009. And I did try to get back into the spatial field, but I don't think I tried very hard, because I instead focused on volunteering for all these animal vegan groups. And I just felt that was so important, because there was such urgency for the animals. So I focused on that. And one of the groups I volunteered with was Animal Liberation Victoria. And I guess because I showed initiative, and I also organised some small events for them, and I guess showed that I was capable and reliable, etc. Patty Mark, who is the founder of Animal Liberation Victoria, she offered me work. And I think that was in 2011, and I became the Vegan Easy coordinator, and stayed on until about early 2014. And because I was involved in so many other things, I guess I burnt myself out. So I left for a while, and then as I was coming back to Australia in August 2020, I was offered the role because there wasn't anyone in that role again. So I became the Vegan Easy coordinator again in August 2020.
Very interesting. I mean, you mentioned burnout. That's something that so many of us in the vegan movement can relate to. So good on you for taking time out and then coming back when you were ready.
Yeah, it's so easy to burn out.
Yes, unfortunately, I burnt out myself. That's a whole different story that we won't go into. But yes, I was out of action for a few years.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting to hear about that, because, I guess a lot of people would be able to relate to and maybe learn something.
Yeah, we in our very first episode we covered it, but I had a massive heart attack that was brought on by extreme stress because I was doing animal rights activism 24/7 and animal rescue 24/7, and pretty much nearly took me out. So I had to step back for quite a while and just regain my strength and regain my passion for doing this. And yeah, now it's like, yep, it's time. So this year it was time to get back involved, and I was back involved with the Animal Rights Forum because I've been doing the Animal Rights Forum for all the other years. Well, it was known as the Animal Activist Forum back then. So yeah, it was my first time back in doing the Animal Rights Forum, and it felt really good to be back. So it was great, and great to see that there was still so many passionate animal activists out there doing stuff. And of course,
Yeah.
you mentioned Patty Marks, and yes, I've met Patty on a few times, and she's an amazing lady. So yeah, a lot of admiration for her.
Yeah, she's, well, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, thank you. But you're talking about Vegan Easy. What were the origins of Vegan Easy?
Okay, so Vegan Easy is the brainchild of Patty Mark and Joe Osborne. Joe was ALV's education officer back then. And they, back in February 2009, they got together at a cafe and they were pondering, how do we help people go vegan? Because not everyone can go vegan overnight. So they thought about it, and the idea of holding a 30-day challenge was born. And they decided to launch it for World Vegan Month that year in November. So they only had a few months to plan it all, but they got a team of dedicated volunteers together. And yeah, they were able to pull it off. It was amazing because they had to create hundreds of not hundreds, but over 100 recipes for the 30-day challenge, and photograph them and get the Vegan Easy website up and running as well. It was a massive task, and they did it. Yeah. And back then, when people signed up, they received an info kit in the mail. Yeah. So
Very different to how it is now with everything being online and via email.
Exactly.
Yes.
Totally.
You mentioned recipes, but what other ways does Vegan Easy support people to live more compassionately?
Well, we have a variety of free resources on our website. Like, we have answers to frequently asked questions. We have information on nutrition, fitness as well, because people, think, if I go vegan, can I keep up being fit? Books to read, movies to watch, suggestions for movies to watch, the recipes, of course. We have meal plans as well, dietitian approved meal plans. And of course, we have the 30-day challenge for people. It's free and people can sign up online. It's available all year round. Yeah.
Oh, that's really amazing. So with the 30-day challenge, what is entailed in that 30-day challenge?
Okay, so when people sign up, they receive emails from us every day, and they also have the option of joining our Facebook support group. So, and also requesting a one-on-one mentorship if they want. So in these emails, we go through. It's a learning process. So we talk about first, in the first email, I guess, nutrition, because a lot of people slip up if they don't know, and planning vegan meals, like how to plan your own meals. We also have the recipes listed as well from the 30-day menu, but they're suggested recipes. People don't have to follow them every single day. They're just there to give people an idea of what they can eat. And we cover quite a few topics in the emails. So we have the nutrition, why it's good for you, the benefits of being vegan. Also, we cover things like, how to give up cheese, because that's one of the hardest things to give up for some people, not all. And also we cover, like, for instance, the email about cheese. We give options of vegan alternatives, and also we cover what happens to the mother cows and their babies. So hopefully it provides extra motivation for them to, leave dairy off the menu.
Yeah, I guess really it's a step-by-step guidance for people on how to transition to a vegan lifestyle, not just eating plant-based, but also having the information to make the choice from an animal rights perspective and from an environmental standpoint as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned giving up cheese, but in your experience, what are the biggest challenges that people face when they're trying to transition to veganism?
Okay, so yes, the biggest ones, I would say cheese is the first one, dairy cheese. What else? Oh, some people say they feel flat or feel tired. Others have said their families aren't vegan, so they have to cook separate meals for them, and that can be quite challenging trying to coordinate that, or maybe they feel tempted or whatever, so they slip up. Social situations as well, and some people say they can't do it in 30 days. So for those people, I mean, because it is a lifetime of habits that you're dealing with, so trying to change those, it may take you longer than 30 days. Some people can do it just like that, but there are others who might take longer. So for those people, we encourage them to maybe sign up again, keep at it. Don't be discouraged. It's a learning process.
I sort of going back to the cheese thing. I was one of the cheese people. So, and then I figured because I hadn't eaten meat for so long, and I was only having cheese and a little bit of milk in my coffee. Cheese only when I went to friends' places, and when I found out about dairy, I just went, oh, I can give that up. It's crazy that I'm still doing it. So yes, I was a cheese problem, a cheeseaholic. I think we could call that.
There's a lot of them, there is. But
Yeah.
Other great points that you touched on, and I'm sure that all of the resources that are provided throughout the Vegan Easy Challenge would debunk all of those things and help people to make sure that they have lots of energy, they have some resources to deal with the social situations, and the Facebook support group that you mentioned would be another great place to just share your struggles with other people who can probably relate to you.
Exactly, and then people can learn from the people who do post, and then we provide them with answers. There are others who might be too shy to ask questions or what have you, but yeah, if they see the post, then they can learn from those as well. Yeah.
That's an amazing education resource. I mean, hats off to you guys for doing this, because that is part of the big problem about people going vegan is that support group and that network where they can feel like that they are part of a community who support each other. So that's incredible. But what kind of demographic changes have you noticed over the years? Because you've been doing this for a while, so with the 30-day challenge, are there any surprising or notable shifts, or is it usually the same sort of age groups that are trying this out?
We've noticed changes in the age range, and I do have a graphic that I'd like to share with you. In this graphic, you can see that. So I've only got the data from October to December 2020 until late 2024. So it's over these 4 years, because prior to that, in the registration form, so people when they sign up, they also can fill in a registration form. And so we ask questions like, their age, what age group they're in, what else, their diet before starting the challenge, where they heard about the challenge, etc. So with the age range, in this graph, you can see there's a distinct trend of people who are 35 years or older. More of them are signing up for the challenge as we progress through the years. And the younger people, the younger age groups, we have less of them signing up for the challenge. So with that, I'm kind of thinking maybe the younger people take in information a little bit differently from the older generation. So maybe they might not want to receive emails every day over 30 days. They might want to, be captivated by something else.
Yeah, I think a lot of young people are getting their information from social media. TikTok, yeah. The issue with that is obviously there's a lot of room for misinformation to spread. But hopefully some of that vegan truth and information is getting through to the younger generation on those platforms.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm working with Vegan Australia now, and we're working on the Vegan Education in Schools campaign. And yeah, I'll have a look at a lot of the stuff that the Vegan Easy I was about to say challenge. It's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, Vegan Easy challenge.
Yeah, Vegan Easy challenge. Yeah, duh. Sorry, I'm been moving house and my brain has gone crazy.
No worries.
But I will, yeah, I'll look at that and I might reach out to you and ask you a few questions and see how we can relate that into the high schools, because that's what we're approaching first.
Actually, who was telling me? Sheena from the Plant-Based Treaty was telling me that the Vegan Easy booklet that we have, we've just printed another. We've done another rerun of it because we ran out of the last one, and that's handed out. It's a great vegan guide, and that's handed out for free in to various people. It's handed out during outreach. People put it in cafes, etc. And she was having a look at it. She's a mother to an 8-year-old. She was saying that it's actually quite a good guide to put in schools, if possible. So, yeah, maybe I'll send you one if you haven't seen one already. And yeah,
I've got an earlier version of it from one of the animal activist forum.
okay.
But I know Sheena, so I will actually, I'd forgotten about Sheena. We got to get her in on the podcast.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, I'll reach out to Sheena and yeah, see if I can get some more information from her, because that's a great idea.
So, and Vegan Australia is one of our major sponsors of the booklet, because we needed people to sponsor it to get it printed so that we can hand it out for free. And so is Edgar's Mission, and they have it there in their, I was there recently, and they've got a lot of literature that people can take in their office space, and yeah, Vegan Easy is there among them.
That's so good. It's such a great resource, and the fact that you can provide it for free makes it so accessible for people.
Yeah.
So for any of our listeners considering veganism, what would you say to inspire them to take the first step?
Okay, well, it depends on why they're considering it. So, for instance, if it's for health reasons, because say they found out that it lowers their risk of cardiovascular disease or something like that, then I'd say learn more about it. For instance, check out the Doctors for Nutrition website. And so just so that it becomes more reinforced in their minds, and that they can say, yes, I do want to go vegan. And then also watching movies or the docuseries like the one on Netflix, You Are What You Eat. I think that's a really good one to help people make the decision to take the step to change their way of living. And then, like, for instance, if other people might think, well, they have an idea of what's happening to the animals and don't really like it, then I would suggest that they learn more about that too. For instance, watch a documentary like Dominion or The Peaceable Kingdom. And also, I think it's important for them to go to an animal farm sanctuary, a farmed animal sanctuary, because there they can connect with the animals. And because the animals themselves can actually help people change their hearts and minds. So I think that's quite important.
Absolutely. I've like you have been to Edgar's Missions. I've been to Edgar's Mission. I've been there quite a few times, and also farm animal rescue up in Queensland. And you really do get that connection when you are with the animals and you can interact with them, not in the, hey, look, I'm patting an animal and look at me getting a selfie. But when you hear the stories about them and you see the intelligence of these beautiful animals, it can't help but shift you.
And their soothing energy. I used to volunteer at an animal sanctuary when I lived up in Townsville, and I remember just hugging the cows and just like their smell and their warmth, and they just have this really calming thing about them that makes you think, how do we do such horrible things to these beautiful animals?
Exactly. We also have a sanctuary called Liberation Sanctuary. I've got the t-shirt on.
Nice.
Oh, cute.
And so that's ALV's Forever Home for Rescued Animals. Yeah,
Next time I'm in Melbourne, I have to come and visit.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what do you envisage as the future of Vegan Easy? So are there any new initiatives or expansions that you're planning in the next few years?
Well, I guess I'd like to see Vegan Easy continue on as a source of inspiration for people to move towards a kinder way of life, as well as, being there to provide support and guidance for those who sign up for the 30-day challenge. As for new initiatives, if we go back to the graph I showed, the age trend, because we are seeing less people, less of the younger age groups sign up for the challenge. I'd like to develop a program specifically for a younger audience, but I'd need to do more research into it because I'm not young, so I don't know what the young people are doing really.
You're a lot younger than me, so you're a bit closer in age group.
No, I'm 53, so.
Wow. Well, you wouldn't think that. So yeah.
Thank you. I would need to research that. I would also need to consult with professionals who know more about social media marketing, because that's not actually my background. Just maybe we need to start a TikTok account too. Yeah, and I'd need to seek funding for it to get the project off the ground and get it out there.
Yep. And Lefki and I have kind of had some of those chats outside of the podcast. So everyone keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully Vegan Easy will be taking over the younger demographic soon.
Well, when we see that Edgar's Mission won the Change for Good award, the TikTok for Good. Oh boy. Yeah, moving brain.
Yeah.
TikTok for Good award, that is inspiring, and that can actually reach that younger demographic who are TikTok bound. That's what their life is TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So how can listeners get involved with or support Vegan Easy?
Well, for the listeners who aren't vegan, and if they'd like to give it a go, they can check out veganeasy.org, and they can sign up for the challenge if they like and receive all the support they need. For those listeners who are already vegan, and if they'd like to get involved as a volunteer mentor, we do have an application form online that they can fill in. And if anyone would like to contribute financially towards the Vegan Easy initiative, we have a donate button on the website.
So we will put all of your contact details in the show notes so people can easily find Vegan Easy on social media, and the website link as well. Was there anything that you wanted to mention that we didn't touch on before we wrap up?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for having me on, for the opportunity to talk about Vegan Easy. I really appreciate it.
Well, we thank you so much for being with us here today, Lefki. It's, again, all our episodes are just so inspiring, and to listen to your story and what's happening with Vegan Easy, that is just yet another inspiring chapter of the Vegan Compass podcast. So we thank you so much for being on our episode today. That actually brings us to the end of another Vegan Compass podcast episode. But thank you again, Lefki, for being with us and sharing this amazing story of the growth of Vegan Easy. And I'd like everybody to follow Animal Liberation Victoria and see everything that they're doing, because they do amazing work down there.
And the Liberation Sanctuary too.
Yes, definitely the Liberation Sanctuary. So yes, thank you again, folks. That wraps us up for this week. And we look forward to seeing you all again in our next episode.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change.
Be sure to follow us on social media at @thevegancompass_podcast. See you next time.